Sophomore year of high school, I started on varsity as a sophomore at receiver, and I had 80 catches.
Damn, boy!
Because I was quarterback freshman year on freshman team, and then I ran a 10-8 100-yard dash sophomore year track, and they're like, well, you can't sit, you got to play. So I was a fourth receiver, and the fourth receiver on our high school team had 80 catches.
I didn't know you were that fast. You don't seem fast because you're kind of like, you're like, stocky's the wrong word. You're, what is the word? How do people describe you?
What is the word, Diana? Yeah, what is the word?
You're like a little dad built. Dad.
I'm not dad built. Do not call me a dad bod. That is absolutely ridiculous. I am jacked as all get out.
Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime. Hi, everybody. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the NFL.
Did you take a helicopter to work today like Jerry Jones did?
I wish I would have. I thought that was awesome, by the way. It was a total flex by the owner. I would love to. Did you see Dak Prescott like pump fake at the helicopter when it was landing?
I think it's amazing, all of it. I know people like Cowboys fans are like, well, you say we don't have money and you're coming here in a helicopter. I get it, but I think it's cool. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
Flying on in to work on your chopper. All right, so we got week 5.
Just land right on your practice field.
We've got week 5 games here, and the story that is absolutely dominating the news cycle right now is the Davante Adams situation with the Las Vegas Raiders. We know lots of teams are in touch with them, so we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. We also thought we would bring back Chases on the Case and go through a few quarterbacks right now that you think are having success for specific reasons. So we put you to the task. So we're going to discuss that and kind of take a look into what you've discovered. And then we're going to go across the pond. And I promise I'm not going to do the accent, even though I'm so tempted to.
Come on,
to check
you're
in.
a good accent.
Thank you. You're the first person on this planet to ever say that. We had a colleague of ours, his name is Iain Macintosh, who is this diehard Jets fan that lives in London. And so, Chase, my thought was, what is it like right now to be a Jets fan and knowing that they're going to be, overseas on Sunday morning, playing in his homeland, but also just what it's like to just be a Jets fan. And let me tell you, it's tough. It's tough. So he joins the show. But let's get right to it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. We've got a Davante Adams sweepstakes going on right now, Chase. We've got a lot of teams checking in with the Las Vegas Raiders right now, taking the temperature, trying to see where they're at, A, with their timing, B, their asking price, what they're looking for, what Davante wants. Look, he doesn't have a no trade clause in his contract anyway, so he has no say on where he goes. But here's what I can tell you.
Good information. Yeah. What do you know? What do you know?
All right.
Come on.
Let's break it down. All right. So he wants to go to the Jets. That's his preference. The Saints are also another team that he would not mind playing for. Obviously, we know the connections there. Aaron Rodgers is in New York. Derek Carr, his best friend, is in New Orleans. So that makes all the sense in the world. I don't think anyone on this planet is surprised by that. There are other teams that have also called the Las Vegas Raiders on top of the New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets just to sort of take a temperature of what's going on there, right? So the Buffalo Bills, they're keeping an eye on it. The Kansas City Chiefs are not calling Chase to go, man, what are you offering? What they're sitting back right now. And they're just going to monitor this thing and try to see if maybe they can hop in if this thing starts to break down, because they know they don't got the cash to pay for Davante. The Vegas Raiders would have to take a lot of money on for Kansas City to step in here, and they know that. They want to.
But they're interested, though.
But they're certainly interested.
But like, just hold on. What are the realistic expectation that he's traded in division in the AFC? What are the chances of that?
I love that you bring this up, because almost every single person tweeted at me when I reported that the Kansas City Chiefs are monitoring this. No, they would never trade them to a division rival. Why would they do? Guess what? That is not true. That is not true. Does it happen a lot? No. But if you are able to give a team the best offer, it can happen. And this is one of those conversations that you have in football where it's such a different type of narrative in the league than it is outside, or at least by the fans. So I'm
Really?
always, because I like to ask that question too, and I did.
Yeah.
And I asked
But
both sides.
But Diana, it's the Chiefs first of all, and then the Raiders are going to be hated by every other AFC team if they make the Chiefs way better. Like, because if Davante goes, they're winning another Super Bowl. You got to imagine the Ravens, the Bills, all these AFC teams are going to be pissed off. The Bills already let the Chiefs draft Xavier Worthy. Like, why is everyone letting the Chiefs get better?
Well, Tom Telesco is going to do what's best for his team. And if he's going to get the best draft capital back, and it has to go to Kansas City, he's going to do it for the future. That's just how you do good business if you're a good team.
I'd love to hear that.
So we'll see if it ever gets to that point. I have a very strong inclination that the New York Jets, when they get back from London, are going to be able to figure out something, some compensation package that's going to make the Raiders really happy. Therefore, make Davante Adams happy as well, and obviously Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see if the Jets can do it.
Why?
Why do they want Davante Adams?
Yes.
Are you being funny?
No, it's a serious question.
Okay, so the New York Jets have had their eye on Davante Adams for over a year. When Aaron Rodgers joined the New York Jets, he handed over a wish list. We've talked about this on the show before. Here are some players I would love to play for. He has every right to do that. It is what he did, and they came through for him on a lot of those players. Obviously, we're seeing Alan Lazard out there right now. He was one of the players that was on the list. Nathaniel Hackett was already a New York Jets coach, but that was the New York Jets knowing that, hey, we got a shot at Aaron Rodgers. Let's go get his offensive coordinator. So Davante Adams was on that list at the time. It just wasn't something that the Jets were able to get done at the time. So here we are a year later, and this is a team with all their chips in, all the pressure on their head coach, Robert Saleh. I would argue some pressure on Aaron Rodgers to produce here because this is it. They
Oh, no, there's no arguing. He has to produce.
Yeah.
Aaron.
A couple things that I want to add to the conversation from just little nuggets that I've collected over the last few days. Okay, so Davante Adams is not going to play in this upcoming game against the Denver Broncos. He's out. He's got a hamstring injury. I dug a little bit on it. It's legit, right? Because I know
real?
It is. It is real.
Okay,
I actually had,
I'm like,
I had someone on the team like say to me like, I saw the injury. Like I saw him do it. It's legit.
Cool.
So
Believable.
the teams that have been calling to inquire not just about the trade, but hey, what's the health status here? Have been told that it's about a week to 2 week injury. So he would miss this game, and the hope is he'd be able to get back for the Steelers game. Obviously, if he was a Raider. Heck, he could possibly be playing on the Steelers because they're another team that is in communication with the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah. Remember the Steelers were involved with the 49ers trying to get Brandon Ayuk in there?
I know, but if I'm Davante, the reason I asked why for Aaron Rodgers, why does Davante Adams want to go to the Jets, is because you got to think about it from Davante's standpoint. Yeah, you go there, you get 12, 11 games with Aaron Rodgers. If they don't win, everything's getting blown up in that locker. Like the head coach is fired, offensive coordinator is fired. I've heard, and I don't want to start. There's a chance that Aaron Rodgers doesn't even play next year. Like so why? So that just tells me if he does go, that's a reality. But if he does go there and they. Yeah, but if he does go there, he gets 12 games with his guy. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders. Wouldn't you rather go to the Saints, who think they're like building something special, or the Bills with Josh Allen? Like, do you want to go for 12 games?
I'm not going to speak for Davante. I just think the teams are looking at it as a 1-year rental. No one is looking at Davante
See, that's
Adams.
That's great information.
They're not saying, oh, he's going to be part of the fabric of this team for the next 3 years. No, this is just for this year to bring him in and be that piece that gets them over the hump. And obviously on offense right now, we're seeing what's going on between Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. And it's not working. It's not good. It's going to get better, I believe. I do think it'll improve. But what do we always talk about? The trust between a quarterback and his receiver. And
chemistry.
Rodgers is the kind of guy, if he doesn't trust you, he ain't throwing the ball.
Oh, so true.
Guess who
so true.
Guess who he trusts? Alan Lazard
Davante Adams.
and Davante Adams.
Yeah, Alan Lazard has 3 touchdowns already. He's got as many touchdowns as he had the last 30 games. Let me rewind. Let me move the conversation forward. For me, you might think it's like secondhand nature, but like why does Davante Adams want to get traded?
So there's a couple tentacles to this. It really has started when the Raiders were moving on from Derek Carr. He obviously was traded from Green Bay to Las Vegas to be with Derek. And then after just one season, they moved on from him. While there are some versions of it that Davante understood it, he just wasn't happy about it. And I do think this situation's different if his best friend gets shipped off and the next quarterback that comes in is, I mean, this is just a ridiculous example, but a CJ Stroud. That's not happening, right? There's not a superstar quarterback on that roster. No disrespect to Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. It's just
the facts.
Davante is at 31 years old. He wants to win, right? And he wants to play with an elite quarterback. So it makes sense to me why he wants to go to New York and why he wants to go to New Orleans, why he would be open to teams like the Buffalo Bills, like the Dallas Cowboys, like the San Francisco 49ers, teams that are already established and built, and really he could be that final drop-in weapon to get them over the hump.
Yeah, let me add something to the conversation with as far as the Saints go. And James Jones, who played with Davante and Aaron in Green Bay forever, is on the facility, the Fox show I'm on. And we were talking a little bit behind the scenes, and he really thinks that the Saints are legitimately in this, just for everyone. And like you were saying, because of a guy by the name of Keith Williams. He's the receiver coach for the New Orleans Saints, and he coached Davante Adams at Fresno. He coached Davante Adams elsewhere, and that relationship is what James Jones said is weighing really heavy on Davante Adams. Not only your best friend Derek Carr is there, but then you have your he said he's like a mentor, like father type figure. Keith Williams is a receiver coach in New Orleans, so that is why they're a team to watch out for.
Well, credit to James's scoop there, because he's spot on, because I was told that as well. So that's dead on. It's just really going to come down to what Las Vegas wants. And I think that's what you have to remember as we're watching this over the next few days. I do think there'll probably be movement next week, but at the same time, I do think that there's a world where it could take some time as well. But I can tell you Las Vegas wants to get moving. They have to.
Last question for me. What is it going to be? Second, third? What's the compensation?
I know they're looking for a second rounder.
Can they get it, though?
I would not be shocked, though, if the actual real compensation is a third rounder. I think it's more
great information
there than it would be.
Interesting.
The second. If they get the second rounder, then credit to Tom Telesco for getting that done. A friend of the Scoop City show who has not given me any information on this story. If you are wondering,
maybe I need
trust
to text
me.
him.
Yeah, can you get on the horn with him? Because he's not calling me back.
You know what? I'll text him.
Yeah, shoot him a text. All right, then we got the Chiefs wide receiver situation. We know Rashee Rice is dealing with a knee injury. He's been placed on IR, and there is hope, though, that he could possibly return. So the knee is a little bit swollen right now because he's banged up from that collision with Patrick Mahomes. But it was explained to me that they're going to test this knee out next week. They're going to have him go out on the field once that swelling goes down. And then eventually they're going to sedate him, right? So they're going to put him under to just arthroscopically take a closer look at that knee. So obviously the MRI hasn't been clear enough for them to see what the tears are, what the situation is. Not that I'm some medical doctor, but it was just explained to me that the hope is they see something in there and it's not that serious, and then maybe he can get back in 6 weeks. Otherwise, it'll probably be 6 months because they'll probably need surgery 6 months or more, right? So
yeah, I mean, they're holding out hope, right? I mean, it's sort of crazy because I haven't been a part of a lot of teams where the MRI doesn't tell everything. And I know Rick Burkholder, the head athletic trainer over there personally, is one of the best in the game. And it's just interesting to see I'm guessing they're holding out hope, right? Like IR makes sense right here so you don't use up the roster spot, and maybe just try to rehab the knee and try to get them back for a late season run, or, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and we'll see what they do in terms of movement in filling that need. If Brett Veach is now going to go, okay, let's stand pat here and just see if after, we discover a little bit more, get some more information. Do we make a move? Do we get a guy off a practice squad, or do we go swinging right before the trade deadline?
Yeah, look, I think that they'd be smart to look at some trade candidates, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pull up Justin Ross from practice squad. The dude is like an above the rim specialist, has really shown some signs in practice, hadn't got a chance to do it a lot in games. This is a chance. Look, injuries, they suck. right? There's no doubt about it. This could be a chance to play with Patty Mahomes and go win a Super Bowl and be a big part of it because they need another playmaker.
So you're telling me that Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs are going to win it again without some star receivers? Oh, my goodness. Yeah,
You're dropping bombs today. What else you got?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I actually like talking about the trade deadline, and we're going to do a lot more with that as we get closer to it.
It's the best thing.
It's going to be so busy. I actually love the trade deadline.
No. You're going to be busy. Because I'm going to be calling you, too.
I'll be texting you everything. I know. But look, there are going to be a lot of names that we're going to expect to see come November, right? I think Amari Cooper.
Are you hearing any just huge one that could just like go crazy at, like, you know what I mean? Like a little surprise, little nugget for us?
I think they're the obvious people that we all know. You don't have to be that smart to figure out, like the Amari Coopers, like the Darius Slaytons, like the DeAndre Hopkins. That all make sense, right? Based on their contract, based on their ages, based on their positions on their teams, their quality of play at this point. The one I want to watch, Chase, Bryce Young. I am curious to see what the move is going to be.
Dolphins?
You're already moving him. I meant, are they even going to take the call?
Oh, come on. Yeah. Dang, that's another juicy nugget.
I had some conversations with people in Carolina when they benched him, and it was almost like guaranteed at that point. Like, yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, you and I both agree. Like, he can't stay in.
It's not the best situation. Like, as you and I just have our own opinions, we were like, yeah, they got to move on from him. But in terms of like talking to people around the league and in the building, things that people associated with the situation, it was like, yeah, they're going to trade him. So we will see if they do that come the trade deadline, or if they stand pat, which you and I can both agree probably isn't the best decision, to see if they can get something out of him. So we've got that in just a few weeks. But The Athletic had a player survey today. Did you read that article? It was really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was awesome.
So they had all the beat reporters. They conducted this poll back in August and September. 110 players were asked the same set of questions. They were granted protection, and they didn't have to give their names or anything, but they got to offer their opinions on opponents, coaches, the rules, all of that. So who will be the next active NFL player to win his first MVP award was one of the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so the answer, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and CMC were the answers.
Those are the three? Those are in order?
Yep.
CMC, though, like, yeah, he deserves it, but he's a running back. It's a quarterback award. Josh Allen.
I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's medical. But this
double tendonitis?
Is it contagious? Like, I don't understand.
What happened?
How did he get it in one leg and then the other?
Yeah. I think it's from overcompensating.
Yeah,
I'm not a doctor, though.
Well, we've all had that injury before. Where
I do that where my hip hurts and I'm
like
limping
you
on
the
one
other.
end.
But to have that same diagnosis, though, to have the same diagnosis on both, like, that is so sad. Okay, I can't believe I'm admitting this to you, but I'm just going to do it.
No, admit. Okay. You owe me something.
I knew something was going on with CMC, not because I was talking to him, not because I was in touch with Joel Siegel, his agent, not because I was talking to Kyle Shanahan.
Olivia Copel?
How did you know I was going to say that?
I didn't.
Just stopped posting. So here, his beautiful, stunning wife, who's phenomenal on social media and loves to share life, has not been sharing. So something's up.
See, your reporter went ding.
I went,
something's going on.
But I noticed it that Monday night game when he didn't play against the Jets, and I was like, wait. That's weird. Olivia always posts her outfits. So, look, I go everywhere for information. Bottom line, right? Just ridiculous, right? Just call the agent, Dianna.
Look into the life of Dianna.
Right. All right. So one of the questions were, if you were to start an NFL team from scratch, who's the first non-quarterback you would draft? The answers were.
Don't tell me.
Oh, I like that you want to play.
I'm just gonna say who I want. Micah Parsons, please. I want a pass rusher. Was that an answer?
Nope, it wasn't.
Oh,
the pass rusher that made it was Myles Garrett, which I agree with this. I agree with the players, not you, not the former player.
Hey, I used to play.
Okay, so most annoying player in football.
Oh, it's got to be,
CJ?
No.
The answer was CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's what the player said. Wait, why?
I love Jameis, but I was going to say Jameis Winston. Come on, man. It's a front.
See, that's interesting. Because I don't think everyone thinks that. I think that I can see what you're saying, but I don't know if the majority of people view it that way. But We've talked about
Yeah,
the
I mean,
dynamic there.
I know,
Like,
I know Jameis and his wife. They're great, but like I just imagine other people not on his team that don't. First of all, he's the best teammate. I've heard he's like one of the best teammates of all time. But I'm looking at it from 31 other teams' perspective, and they see him breaking down the huddle every time. Like,
yeah, it's like, what is going on? Max
CJ Gardner-Johnson for sure.
Max Crosby's on it. I sent it to Max.
Why? Because of the after snap stuff where he's like says little ass boy, little ass boy.
I love him.
I like that actually.
I just love everything about Max Crosby, his story.
Yo, did you know that I was his first sack?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
I'm
awful.
going to try to get him on the show. So I will say, hey,
Oh, he'll come on for sure.
you sacked Chase, so come join us and we can talk about that.
No, I did like an interview with him a couple, maybe like last year, and he has a poster of his first sack, and I'm up in his living room.
That is
Swear
so
to God.
embarrassing.
I know for me, not for him.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, golly, I'm somebody's trophy.
I am going to ask him to take a picture of that and send it to me because I would like that poster behind me too.
I think it's in his basement.
He does not care about this. He thinks it's funny. Most annoying player in the NFL, the award went to CJ Gardner-Johnson. So he won.
Yeah.
He won it all.
Okay.
Best worst road trip. I've always wanted to ask you this. So the best is what? What do you like when you traveled? What was the one city you're like, yeah?
So this is city or just like overall experience?
Trip.
I used to love going to Green Bay because of the history there. Like just like playing at Lambeau, and Seattle was awesome too because you're in the Pacific Northwest.
So the best was L.A., Vegas, and Seattle. So there you are with Seattle. How about the worst?
Seattle.
The players' worst was Green Bay, whereas you loved it. But Green Bay, Buffalo, and just New York in general. How about that?
There's something so old school about going to Green Bay because everyone stays at the same Marriott that's been there forever that has a steakhouse in it, and they got these little cool cookies that they give you, and the food's not great, but the beef's great, and the experience is like, you sleep in beds that they're almost like water beds, but yeah, the experience of the stadium, that was sick.
All right, you can check out that complete survey at The Athletic, including what players had to say about an 18th game. Ooh, we're going to definitely be talking about that, I'm sure, at some point this season. We'll have that coming up. And then we got Chase is on the case. He explains what we're seeing on film from Justin Fields, Jayden Daniels, and Brock Purdy. We'll be right back. All right, back here on Scoop City, Chase and I are stuck in front of our televisions with our children many Sundays and Saturday mornings, occupying them. And Paw Patrol is a household favorite in both our homes.
My kids love it.
I know. And obviously I talk to you a lot. We talk about you a lot in our house. But the fact that my kid's favorite show, their main character's name is Chase. It's just like, I can't escape you, my friend. So my favorite character on the show is Chase, and Chase is always on the case. So I figured we'd do that here, put you to work. I have a few questions, and I just kind of want you to give me some of your observations of things that you were able to discover through not only just film, but just from your experience. So my first big question for you is, how is Arthur Smith designing this offense around Justin Fields when we had so many question marks about what Justin really was before the start of the season?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest surprises of the year for me, really the coaching job that Arthur Smith has done. We all know that he's a good offensive coach. You can say what he is or not from a head coaching perspective. I thought they cut the leash a little soon, to be completely honest with you, in Atlanta. And so for him to land on his feet in Pittsburgh was interesting because you have Russell Wilson and then you have Justin Fields. And when they named Russell Wilson the starter, I said, okay, it's going to be what we saw from, Ryan Tannehill, under center, play action, deep throws, chunk plays with George Pickens. Calvin Austin's playing really well for him. And then it never happened. Justin Fields came because Russell Wilson has that calf injury. And when I'm watching Justin Fields and this offense methodically move down the field, it's sort of like a thing of beauty. Like Justin Fields is 7th in completion percentage. He's 9th in total touchdowns. He's 12th in passer rating in the entire NFL. So you take a guy that was discarded in Chicago and you put him in this offense, and it's not anything crazy. He's making Arthur Smith's making Justin play within the game plan. And the game plan for them is run the ball, okay, get in shotgun. The QB run game's a big part of it, just like it was with Tannehill when he was there. Obviously, Justin's a much better athlete. But you see ever so often these shots down the field, but they're shots, like they're deep throws that Justin feels really comfortable making. Justin throws a really nice deep go ball. So it's not like these crosser routes that you see a lot of these teams like Geno Smith running or Patrick Mahomes running. It's very much curated to Justin Fields. That's what I'm seeing, and it's a thing of beauty, Diana.
What are you seeing from George Pickens? That's the one I'm trying to figure out. Because is that relationship, is that hookup good? Like, what do you see?
It's great. I think obviously George Pickens is their guy that they put into the boundary a lot, the boundary of the field. If they're on, the NFL has 2 hashes. If you're on the closest hash, he plays the X receiver, which is into the boundary. And you're seeing, like, when I saw George Pickens before Justin Fields, it was just go ball 50-50, go ball 50-50. His route tree, that means how many different routes you can run, was very little. It was like a hitch and a go. What I'm seeing Arthur Smith do with George Pickens is move him around. Now he's in the slot running option routes. Now he's on the outside running post routes. Now he's on the inside going like a shallow cross across the formation and then turning it up the field. It just looks like his route tree has grown, and therefore Justin trusts him. Look, he had a really bad red zone fumble last week, but what I saw on that play, Justin checked the protection at the line of scrimmage. He got everything right. He signaled to George Pickens to run the route he ran. He got a first down on it and was able to fumble. But that is the type of stuff that we're seeing, and Justin's just going to continue to get better.
I wasn't some big Justin Fields fan before I met you, and now I find myself really excited for him to see just that confidence that he's got now, and it's growing and developing, and of course you got Tomlin out there still going.
Tomlin's a beast.
Essentially, it's a quarterback competition or whatever he's saying to just keep everyone on their toes.
He's the best at diffusing situations.
The team that is just, I think stunning people, but also just giving their fans so much hope right now. It's the Commanders, obviously with rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels, and how he's been able to execute this Cliff Kingsbury offense, whatever you want to call it. You could say it's college, you could say it's LSU, you can say whatever, it's working. So I am curious about it though. Is this success because Jayden's so good? Or is it because Cliff Kingsbury came in here and just coached this thing the right way?
Oh, that's a great question. Both. I can't be political and say one or the other because it really is a marriage that is working. And look, Cliff Kingsbury, we have the same agent. He had a lot of offers to be OC, actually, believe it or not. And he chose the Commanders because he knew that they would probably end up with Jayden Daniels. He loves Jayden Daniels. Think about Cliff Kingsbury's offense when Kyler Murray was rolling, but with better weapons, a better offensive line, and quite honestly, a better thrower of the football in Jayden Daniels. So that's why I believe Cliff Kingsbury went to Washington. Look, the biggest thing you can say about this offense is they've punted 4 times in 4 games.
Tressway, man. The guy's sore. He's nothing to do.
And they're averaging, their last 3 games are averaging over 33 points a game. And so it took a while, I say a while, Chase, what are you talking about? It took 2 games for Jayden to sort of warm up, and he was running around a little bit, with his chicken with his head cut off, trying to figure out what was happening. And then really the last 2 games, the Cincy game was his coming out party. This Arizona game, it was his best game without a doubt. And it's not just these short intermediate completions. They're throwing the ball down the field. Zach Ertz looks like a new man. The thing about it is, and I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it because Scary Terry McLaurin, he hasn't even reached the potential that he can be. And now he's got Jayden Daniels throwing. Look, last game they had 9 drives against Arizona and they had 42 points, 29 first down. Just the stats and the start, the stats are great. The film's even better.
The stock is up on that team, and the fact that they're just tapping into this thing. You know what I keep going back to though every time I'm watching them? Remember when Cliff joined us over the summer, and the first thing he said was how much he is enjoying being an OC because he had never been just an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He'd always been the head coach that calls the plays, and there was so much to that because I do think he can just focus on what his strength is, which is calling plays and developing a quarterback, and he's obviously having so much success.
Another quick story before we move on to there. So Jayden Daniels leads the NFL in completion percentage, 82.1. All right. The NFL single season record 74.4%. Held by
RG3.
Drew Brees in 2018. I texted Drew after the Jayden Daniels game. I said, bro, he's at 82%. He goes, he'll never make it. He's so excited. Because he wants that record. You know, he's just messing around. But I text him, and he was like, he usually takes a little bit of time to text back. He texts me back right away, right away. Like that's my record, bro. But I think it's just funny.
You competitors, all of you. How is it that Brock Purdy is better this year than last year after he had just a remarkable year? I mean, I know we joked about this on the show about him being the highest paid quarterback, and we were like, oh, you know, maybe it'll be high 50s. Is it going to be 70 at this point? Because he's that good?
You tell me. You're the insider.
I don't think so. But maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time I think that, this stuff changes. But
it's wild.
So can you just kind of explain this to me, though? Like, how is he doing more right now with less, really?
No, that's exactly right. He is doing more this year with less. He's throwing the ball deeper, more than he ever has at any point in his career. I think he started 38, 39 games. The thing that really stands out to me, though, when you just watch the film, pure film, he's doing a really good job of buying extra time in the pocket to get those throws down the field. And then not only that, but he's running outside of the pocket way more. When you think of Brock Purdy, I'm thinking, oh, he's like pocket passer, which he has been, because it's like a very much timing offense with that Kyle Shanahan scheme. Now he's like, if stuff's not open, he's not really finding his check down. He's extending plays. I'm not going to say like Patrick Mahomes, but like people like that do, that gives the big play and opens it up more. So not only that, but he's running for third downs at like a crazy. He's had like 5 third down conversions on his leg. So I just love the way he's playing right now. He's doing it with less. They're not 100%. I'm watching Brandon Ayuk on film, and we talked about it on the show. He is not in receiver shape right now. So he's buying some time. Juwan Jennings making himself some money. He's easily the best number 3. But it's really cool to see Brock just go out there and ball out, because you could make a case, and I just did, that he is playing better this year than when he was in the MVP race last year.
Yeah. And I think about this a lot. What is it going to take, you think, for people, even just regular fans, to be like, oh, Brock Purdy's good? He just can't get out of the zone because of obviously where he was picked in the draft, the last player picked.
Yeah, look, it drives me crazy. And honestly, Diana, I don't think he ever will, because he plays in Shanahan's scheme. And so they will always say the detractors will always say it's Kyle. Turn on the film, I'm begging you.
All right, still to come. So we've got a buddy that lives across the pond, lives in London, biggest Jets fan. Obviously, the Jets are playing the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to check in with him just to see how he's holding up. Oh, boy. We'll be right back. Anytime someone is a loyal fan to a certain team, the first question I always wonder is why? So for you, Iain, how did this love affair with the New York Jets of all teams become your team?
Well, this ultimately is a classic case of answering the question too quickly. I was in New York on my honeymoon in January 2010, and the Jets were doing well, and everyone was talking about Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez, and they were on this storming run to get to the divisionals. At the time, everyone was like, well, they're going to make the Super Bowl, and all of New York was ablaze. It was so exciting, and I thought, hey, the Jets, about time I had some vicarious success in my life. I'll adopt this team. They seem brilliant. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
What an adorable story of being fooled.
Yes.
Because you were fooled. Because the thing is that Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez team, they were actually really good. If you remember, like that season, they went to the playoffs. They had a great roster. And unfortunately, Rex Ryan, who at the time you probably thought was some brilliant, incredible coach, well, he took a bunch of really good players and didn't do much with it ever. It just became an absolute wreck. So when did you realize, like, oh, God, I didn't pick it's not like someone picking the Chiefs today, you know? That's what you thought you were picking.
Yeah, I think things started to fall apart bit by bit. I mean, memorably, Rex Ryan himself described himself as the only man who could be in a sex scandal with his own wife when some videos appeared on the internet. And then Mark Sanchez, of course, was famously tackled by someone's bottom. And it was around about that point I started thinking, maybe they're not that great. And then the drought began because they did actually make the playoffs the following season, and they've never been back since. And I mean, I have to confess, as a soccer reporter, I loved NFL because it was something different. And I'm sure you must get this. Whenever you watch an NFL game, that's your world, and you have to be an expert and you have to be switched on. It's not relaxing in the way that sport is for most people. So NFL was kind of my happy place where I just let the game unfold and I didn't have to know anything. It was only really in the pandemic when I really got into it and started understanding it on a more in-depth level. And that's when I truly began to understand quite how bad the Jets are, because effectively kind of only just started playing with a quarterback. I mean, you'd think that was a basic, but it's only been this season that I've really seen any sort of semblance of multi-play drives moving up the field.
So, Ian, our thought on the show here was, all right, we got the Jets playing the undefeated Vikings. Aaron Rodgers has been to London once before. He didn't have a lot of success there. Let's call up one of our friends who we know is a diehard Jets fan, which is you, and kind of just get the pulse of A, the NFL, but B, I want to hear what you think about this New York Jets team this year. So I do want to start with the league is really pushing for international NFL, right? And back here in the United States, if you were to just consume it, it appears to be a success. It looks like there's a strong push for this. What's the reality there, though? Like, how do you see the sport growing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's a capacity of just over 60,000, and they sell out every single time. And they sell out in no time whatsoever as well. Generally, you get a whole load of people who go, oh, NFL in London. And if you haven't got your tickets inside the first 24 hours, you may not get tickets. They go that quickly. So there is no lack of appetite for this sport. And the other thing you have with UK fans is there is a level of fanaticism here because you have to watch these sporting events late on a Sunday night, sometimes in the early hours of Monday morning. It takes a certain kind of person to do that. These people really like it. And a lot of them are of the generation that only really had one game a week on one channel on a Sunday before, you know, your friend of mine, The Athletic, came into being. It was sort of scrambling around for information in the UK. You get mail order magazines and things. So you've got, I mean, I'm not really a diehard fan. I just love watching the sport. And, if the Jets lose, I'll survive. It will be okay.
I love that you paint a picture of like ridiculousness hours of people watching this because of the time difference. Like, I love that you paint a stroke of these people are weird, but that's you. You're the one like tuning into this madness. And then you pick a team. Okay. It's one thing to love football. Okay. I get it. Like I understand why someone who obviously lives in a country that lives, breathes, and obsessed with the other kind of football, this could be a really nice change to just enjoy a different type of sport. But you pick the New York Jets, right? Knowing that you didn't do a lot of research, that you really just picked them because of your visit to New York City one day and you thought they were just some great team because they just happened to be winning in 2010. So now, after over a decade now plus, what have you learned about being a Jet fan?
It just looked like so much fun. It seemed so plausible. But, that's part of it as well. And I often think with your sport, it's a lot like buying stocks and shares. You don't want to buy at the top of the market. I know someone who's recently become a Chiefs fan. And I was saying to her, I've known that now's the right time. They're all getting a little bit older. The circle turns, the draft mixes things up as you go. If I had my chance again, I might have gone for the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell's hilarious. He's basically a WWE wrestler. The team have been doing nothing for so long that they've got to catch light, and so it has proved they have caught light. I think if you were to ask me, 2-3 years ago, I'd probably have gone in that direction. But as in NFL, it's the same in soccer. I don't believe that you really do choose your team. I think your team just chooses you. And there was something about the the relentless hopelessness of the Jets that for some reason just chimed with me. You can draw your own conclusions.
So as a Jet fan, though, to me, you saying taking the Chiefs is taking it at the top of the market is a bad idea. That just tells me that you don't know what it's like to have a really good quarterback, right? Because
I mean, you're right.
Being around Patrick Mahomes, covering Patrick Mahomes, and saying you just don't bet against him, because I've done it before. Like I've gone on national television and been like, he can't do it again. Well, guess what? He did it 2 other times after I said he wouldn't do it. So I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to give you a hard time for that, because you just haven't been exposed to greatness yet because you've been a Jet fan for so long. But now you have it, though. You have greatness under center. You have the guy. You have one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game in a New York Jet uniform. So let's get to this season right now. Like, this is simple, but how are you doing?
I thought the first game of the season against the 49ers was the Jets experience in a nutshell, because obviously last season, defense is brilliant, offense is just a dumpster fire. And now Rodgers is back and he's fit, and surely he can't get injured again. So clearly the offense has got to kick in. And I don't know if kick in is the right word, but there were drives in that game. The offense wasn't too bad. And then the defense fell apart and we just looked like wet toilet paper as every time the 49ers just ran through us. And they didn't even have Christian McCaffrey. So it was just so typical of the Jets. It's like, everything's fine now. Our defense is great. Rodgers is in, and the defense goes to pieces. So yeah, that's the experience in a nutshell.
Well, the toilet paper was actually literally wet at MetLife Stadium when they welcomed the Denver Broncos into town, because the ball was wet, the field was wet, everything was wet. And so was just the vibe there, knowing that the Denver Broncos with a rookie quarterback came in, and their defense, they start the game. I don't know if you remember this first play of the game. They just all out blitz Aaron Rodgers. Like that was, to me, that was them going, yeah, we're not that scared of you.
Yeah.
We're nope. We think that we can dominate this game, and credit to them, they did it. But what about the drama? So we talk about it a lot on this show for a few reasons. One, we're aware of it, right? We report on it a lot, and we hear a lot of things. We don't even report most of the things that we do here these days, because it's just, at this point, I don't know what I could tell Jets fans about what's going on behind the scenes. They're not gonna want to believe it or buy into it anyway. They're numb. They're all numb to it. So just, what is this? Does it feel chaotic for you right now? Like, or do you have actual confidence that they've got this?
I mean, again, bear in mind the last 2 seasons there hasn't really been a functioning quarterback. This actually feels like a golden period to me. You know, we've got a guy who can actually throw the ball largely in the direction we want it to go in. This is brilliant news. But no, there's so many red flags around. I mean, obviously the age of Aaron Rodgers, the fact, as you say, people are blitzing him, I think because they think he physically, you know, he's going to start feeling those hits, isn't he? I mean, he didn't look in great shape when he walked off the pitch on Sunday. So there's a feeling that physically, perhaps they can be intimidated. But there's a lot of other things with Rodgers as well. I think The Athletic, and it may actually have been you who reported this, a former Green Bay Packers player saying, look, if Aaron doesn't trust you, he won't throw to you. And of course, Garrett Wilson dropped one, I think, in the first quarter. I don't think another one went in his direction until the third quarter. And there's a lot to be said for, as you say, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks. There's a lot to be said for having that experience in there. But how much of it is constructive and how much of it could be destructive? And right now, I don't know if he's raising other players in the way that perhaps you would hope.
Do you feel hopeful? Because this is an all-in season. Like every chip is being played right now.
Yeah, and this is a feeling that you've had with the Jets, with the Zach Wilson draft, the sense that everything was geared up for last season. You know, the long-term plan was 2023, maybe 2022, but I think that might have been a little bit early. And with the injuries and with everything, now I might be completely wrong. This is just me from London externally, but there feels like a bit of desperation now with everyone connected with the team. It's just throw everything in, make it happen. For the love of God, something's got to go right for us. I don't know how much you can say that long-term planning's involved in a franchise when you've got, you know, a 40-year-old quarterback and 31-year-old wide receivers. There's a lot of miles on the clock now. But you can understand it. You know, these people are coming to the end of their cycles at the club. If Robert Saleh doesn't achieve something this season, I think he will be in jeopardy.
All right, so what do you want to know? I feel like, obviously, you have your own podcast, a football, soccer podcast, the Daily Football Podcast. So you guys are talking that sport all the time. So I know you know that very well, and you get to just be a fan of the NFL. So what do you got for me? What's bugging you?
What does happiness feel like in this sport? What's it like when it's all going well?
So when you go into a locker room that's really happy because they have success, you actually can feel it on your skin. Whereas when you're part of a losing organization, it even smells weird in the locker room after the game. So to tell you what true happiness is like, you'd probably have to just hang out over at Arrowhead, because that's a type of locker room that, man, you just feel it. I think for you, let's be hopeful, okay? So let's be positive. I think that while it was an ugly one against Denver, and they've got a very, very tough task against a 4-0 Minnesota Vikings team with another really good defense, with an offense that seems to be just fine, despite the fact that the quarterback playing for the Vikings right now used to play for the Jets, and they moved on from him thinking he had no talent. And now the guy is playing at a level that it's a bit shocking for some. There are others around the league that'll tell you they always knew Sam Darnold was going to be great. But I don't care what Sam Darnold says, that he's been very professional about this, we'll call it revenge game. He's like, yeah, I could have done more for the Jets. I could have been better too. I don't believe it. I think Sam Darnold is going to love going up against the New York Jets and seeing, Woody Johnson and that the front office of people that decided that he wasn't the guy and go out there and put on a show. So it's going to be a long flight home, I can tell you that much, if they don't win this game, because I do think, as you mentioned, the pressure that is on Robert Saleh right now already feels high, knowing that this year is about getting to the Super Bowl. It's like, it's not just to win a few games. It's to play in New Orleans. And I think with this trade chatter happening right now and them having to come back, for their sake, turning this around a little bit and getting some wins strung together could be great. So I can't tell you what a happy Jet fan is like yet.
Do you, because you've seen so much football and you have such a clear, very first-hand understanding of what a great team looks like. If every component of this Jets side is playing to its potential, if we get the old Breece Hall back, if Rodgers starts throwing to Wilson, if it all clicks, are they good enough on paper at their top level?
100%. I said it in the offseason that I thought that the New York Jets were going to be one of the top 5 teams in football. If you just go based off the piece of paper of what they are, what they looked like in camp even. But unfortunately, we know it's never that easy. There's always so many factors, and there just always appears to be drama around them, despite it not being the biggest deal right now. They don't have anything that I can point to that's devastating, except for the fact that their top receiver doesn't seem too happy in the offense. Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers' best friend, the offensive coordinator, is still there. And I think Nathaniel Hackett has lost his fastball. So I haven't seen what Aaron loves so much, except maybe Aaron's ability to just call the offense himself, because he doesn't have somebody there telling him what to do. He can just control it all. So if they're able to, I would say in this position, listen to Aaron a little bit more on the field with what he wants to do with the football and how they should be doing it, I think they could be good. I just don't know if everyone's tuning in.
Yeah, the number of penalties they gave away against the Broncos was a concern, wasn't it? Because that feels like that's a team communication, and that's not a unit if that's happening that often.
If I told you right now, the football gods will allow you to cross over. You can leave the Jets, but you have to be a New York Giant fan. Would you do it? Would you take consideration, just knowing what you've been through, to just go, maybe I have a better chance of feeling joy?
No, absolutely not. I think the die has been cast. The choice has been made. And besides, someone with my luck, I'd move to the Giants, and the Jets would suddenly be the greatest dynasty that football has ever seen. No, I don't think there's any currency in swapping teams. Once you're in, you're in. And it'll be worth it in the long run. It'll mean more.
Unconditional love. It's why we love sports. It's just, it doesn't matter. You don't quit. It's probably like the one thing in life people just won't ever quit on is it's their teams. You go to the game, by the way, or
I am not. The Daily Football Briefing records on Sundays, so I will have it on either a second or third screen quietly while I'm putting the Daily Football Briefing together. That is, I would say, it's probably the best soccer podcast on the planet, because it's all the football news you need in just 10 minutes. And that's what I'm told, anyway.
I was told that it actually is the best soccer podcast on the planet. Like, you guys won awards for all of this stuff. So, I mean, you're not being funny about it. It's true.
Yeah, trinkets and baubles, of course. You know, we are dedicated to a higher, more noble cause than trinkets and baubles. We seek only perfection, and I think we've achieved it.
Well, I appreciate you becoming a resident of Scoop City. You know, we've got this new podcast here. We just launched a few months ago, and we're trying to keep up with just making sure we check in with different fan bases, just to see what the pain is like. And I gotta say, almost everyone we talk to is in pain right now. So at least, you know, misery lays company. You've got people all together here kind of sad about the way the season's going, unless you're, of course, a Minnesota Viking fan. So good luck to the New York Jets this weekend, and good luck to you and all your hopes and dreams.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm absolutely loving the show. It's been a fantastic new addition to my listening library. So keep up the great work. Say hi to Chase for me, and see you soon.
All right, Chase, before we get out of here for the weekend, which games, players, people, fan bases, things are you watching this weekend?
You sound like you're from London, bloke.
I know, this is
the
the
London games.
I interview one person from London, and I immediately think I'm Princess Diana. So,
Aaron Rodgers, I'm watching you very closely because you are going against the Minnesota Vikings. There is no franchise in the NFL that has beat you more than the Minnesota Vikings. You have to show to me that you still got it. Come on, dude. It's Brian Flores' defense. They're going to be blitzing left, right, center, all around. They're going to have you like at the line of scrimmage. Are you going to check out? Are you going to do the right thing? I'm watching you.
I am watching Stephon Diggs this weekend. Okay, so he's playing against a former team. Obviously, you know, the Buffalo Bills traded him to the Houston Texans in April. I've been told that there's no drama involved with this at all. Everything's just been a fresh start for Steph. Nico Collins has really been the guy there anyways, you know, in terms of the weapons for CJ Stroud. But I'm curious to see what type of game Steph is going to have, knowing that, look, maybe there is a little bit of agitation with how that all went down in the end there in Buffalo. So my eyes are on them.
He has got this game circled the second he was traded, Diana. Let's just call a spade. Diana.
All right, maybe. Okay, well then you're giving me more reason why I'm watching it. And
yes,
then and just an attachment to that is, I thought Buffalo against Baltimore didn't look terrible. I just think with those young guys, I think the moment was a little big for them. Playing there.
Good observation.
The vibe, Derrick Henry coming out with that run. I think that was a good lesson game for this young team. So I still got tons of confidence. So we'll be able to see what they're going to be able to do against a really good Houston Texans team. So we will see you guys all next week. I'm sure we'll be talking about all of these games. Hopefully, if we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, it's nothing too dramatic, because the Jets fans, man, you guys need to win. Maybe you get Davante Adams, maybe you don't. We will see. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.